Good morning and welcome to the test garden. It's the time of the year where gardening season is coming to a close, and it's time to take everything down. So I'm going to make a couple recommendations for you that kind of combine like the traditional fall cleanup, like take it all out and remove it, with the permaculture philosophy of leaving things in place, which is we call chop and drop. So the idea behind chop and drop is that like we're mimicking nature, and so like all of the leaf material, all the plant material that would die on the plant just drops, and it will add fertility to the soil. There's a couple reasons we really want to do this, especially within CPS. Like, I don't know if you struggle with the same thing, but it's really hard to be able to purchase compost, fertilizer, extra soil, things like that. And so this really can be something that you're doing right in the garden to build your soil. One of the things that adding more organic matter does with your soil is it helps it to retain moisture. And so if you're having trouble with like watering the garden enough, like this will at least help somewhat. And it also adds nutrition. So one really great thing to chop and drop are beans. They're nitrogen fixers. And so that's why I'm standing here. But before I do that, let me show you kind of the supplies that I have. So I have a weeder, because before you do it, you want to go in and just weed out the garden. I have 2 cutting tools. You can even use a sharp scissors if you want, but I have a snips or a pruners, and I have a loppers if you have anything really large. And then I have burlap with landscape staples to cover everything over. So the basic idea is that what you want to do, and this kind of combines the no-till method as well, is that you want to cut healthy leaves off at the soil level. So you would come in here. You will go ahead and clip at the soil level, just like that. And then just take like chunks of the plant, and then we lay it down on the soil level. So you can do this in large pieces if you are like me, but if you have lots of helpers, you can break it up into small pieces. That's the recommendation, but from my experience, like even if it's in big chunks, it usually decomposes over the winter. So just taking like all of the plant material out, and you can either drop it right on the soil where you are standing, or if there's a different place in the garden, you can move it to a different place. So that's what we're gonna do today. Okay, so now here we are in a different section of the garden. I've already chopped and dropped some items here, and I'm just gonna add this, and it's literally you can drop it there. And we don't have slugs here very often, so really like 3 inches is great. And if you wanna add on top any leaves that you've gathered from the yard, you can add those to the top of this. Before I cover, I'm going to give a couple cautionary tales. I didn't come up with a great acronym, but mine is going to be PDS. So the things that you do not want to add, and then this is more of like the cleaning out your garden kind of philosophy, is you don't want anything that harbors pests. The D is for disease, so no diseased plants, which is why we did like the tomato takedown, because often those have lots of diseases. And then the S is for seeds. So you just don't want a lot of like seeds that will grow again next year. So take out as many of those things. So to point out like a pest and disease situation, I wanted to show you the zucchini plant over here. So this has 2 different situations. One, if you look really closely, well, not even all that closely, but you can see a lot of damage right here in the stem. And that is caused by the squash vine borer. It gets in there and then eats the plants. or eats through the vine, and you often then will get dead leaves. But he can overwinter in the soil, so you do not want to chop and drop this plant in particular. The other thing you can see on it is that there is powdery mildew, so these white spores that are on the top of the plant. And so that's a disease you also don't want to have come back. So with this, I'm just going to remove that. I'm also not going to put it in a compost pile because I don't really think that our compost, especially over the winter, gets hot enough to kill spores. So unfortunately, that's just going to go in the garbage. And then over here, because we are in public space, we want our gardens to look kept up. So either a sign that explains what you're doing here, or you can use burlap, is my favorite, or a clean sheet or something, and you can put that right on top and then use landscape staples to hold it down. And to me, this ends up making it really seem like it's kind of like tucked in for the winter. One little trick with these is if you see them popping up, you can kind of make an X. So 2 of them in each corner, but that should really hold them down. So we're keeping in our soil, keeping it from blowing out, and also adding a lot of fertility and organic matter to our soil throughout the winter when it's our time to be warm inside. So thanks for coming out today.